Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we are continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31. Today we're going to read text 12. King Vayogena Samkhena, King Vayogena Samkhena, King Vayogena Samkhena, Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi, Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi, Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi, Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi, Kimba Shreyo Viranyascha, Kimba Shreyo Viranyascha, Nayatratma Prado Harihi, Nayatratma Prado Harihi, King Vayogena Sankhena, Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi, King Vashreyo Viranyascha, Nayatratma Prado Harihi, King Vayogena Sankhena, Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi, King Vashreyo Viranyascha, Nayatratma Prado Harihi.
King Vayogena Sankhena, Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi, King Vashreyo Viranyascha, Nayatratma Prado Harihi.
King Vayogena Sankhena,
King Vayogena Sankhena,
Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi,
Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi,
King Vashreyo Viranyascha,
King Vashreyo Viranyascha,
Nayatratma Prado Harihi.
Nayatratma Prado Harihi.
King Vayogena Sankhena, Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi,
Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi,
King
Nyasa Svadhyaya Yorapi
Nyasa Svadhyaya Yorapi
Kimva Shrayo Viranyascha
Imashrayo Viranyascha
Nayatratma Pradohari
Nayatratma Pradohari.
Kim, what is the use? Va, or Yogena, by mystic yoga practice. Sankhya, by the study of Sankhya philosophy. Nyasa, by accepting sannyas. Svadhyaya, and by study of Vedic literature. Api, even. Kim, what is the use? Va, or Shreyo Bihi, by auspicious activities. Anyai, other. Cha, and. Na, never. Yatra, where. Atma Pradaha, full satisfaction of self. Harihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless. Be they mystic yoga practices, the analytical study of matter, severe austerity, the acceptance of sannyas, or the study of Vedic literature. All these may be very important aspects of spiritual advancement. But unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, all these processes are useless. Purport. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 24:109 it is said, Bhakti vina kevale jnane mukti nahi hai, Bhakti sadhana kare ye pratta brahmaloy. Impersonalists do not take to devotional service, but take to other practices, such as the analytical study of the material elements, the discrimination between matter and spirit, and the mystic yoga system. These are beneficial only insofar as they are complementary to devotional service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore told Sanatana Goswami that without the touch of devotional service, Dhyan, Yoga and Sankhya philosophy cannot give one the desired results. The impersonalists wish to merge into the Supreme Brahman. However, merging into the Supreme Brahman also requires a touch of devotional service. The Absolute Truth is realized in three phases: impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these require a touch of devotional service. Sometimes it is actually seen that these Mayavadis also chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, although their motive is to merge into the Brahman effulgence of the Absolute. The yogis also at times take to chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but their purpose is different from that of the bhaktas. In all processes, karma, jnana or yoga, bhakti is required. That is the purport of this verse. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakana Ragunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishnu Vishakanvitascha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Kingva yogena sankhena nyasa svadhyaya yorapi Kingva shreya viranyascha yatratma pradohari. Transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless, be they mystic yoga practices, the analytical study of matter, severe austerity, the acceptance of sannyas, or the study of Vedic literature. All these may be very important aspects of spiritual advancement, but unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, all these processes are useless. Hare Krishna. So, this is a very important point coming out here in this verse, which is very important for us to understand that apart from bhakti, actually everything is useless. And everything that is not connected to bhakti is useless. It's very important for the practicing devotee, because the practicing devotee means the devotee who has not yet come to the natural platform of devotional service. That devotee is still on the material platform. And on the material platform means that devotee to a lower or higher extent is still in illusion and is still trying to receive happiness from sense gratification. And when somebody in this world, and we belong to this category, understands that actually I'm suffering, I'm suffering, and somehow or other I'm not getting happiness in this world, then we try to find an answer. And we, for example, then we come to this temple, and we can, many of us, we get some faith that maybe there is something which is actually giving me happiness. But still, since we are not perfect, we are still illusioned by external appearances. So for example, when we hear here that yoga practices or study of matter, austerities, or the acceptance of sannyas, the study of Vedic literature, these are all very exalted activities from an external point of view. Of course, people outside, they don't value that so much. No, they will think, why is somebody renouncing? Why is somebody using all the time for studying? They will think it doesn't make sense. But at least we who have come here, we value these kind of things. However, we should be careful not to overvalue them. this is a tendency, of course, that because we're still working on the external platform, that we place more value into these kind of things than into bhakti. So for example, if we see a devotee who is very learned, who can speak very nice lectures, can quote many shlokas, we might think or conclude that now this person is worshipping, which in a way is true. But somebody can also be learned without bhakti. And then it becomes a problem. Because you become attracted to something which you put value in, you put faith in, but actually it might not be bhakti, it might not be the goal, what you should achieve. On the other hand, maybe we see sannyasis and we, just from an external point of view, we should respect sannyasis, but maybe we still didn't, or we don't have this clarity that actually this external manifestation of renunciation, the sannyas, that is nice, but the real thing which is worshipful is that this is a person who has dedicated his life to the service of the Lord. It's not that I worship, here is somebody who has given up relationships, who has given up private property, private assets. No, that's not so worshipable. It's that this is a person who has given the life to the Lord. So this is important that we always remind ourselves that we don't get attracted to external things too much. We can try to see them as symptoms of bhakti, but we have to be careful not to mistake them as being bhakti. Because we know bhakti can also manifest in a situation or in a person, let's say in a person, where these things externally don't exist so much. Meaning, a person who is not in the renounced order of life, a person who might not, who has not read all the scriptures 100 times, who is maybe externally not so renounced, can actually manifest bhakti. Sometimes more than somebody who is renounced. And that's also a danger that we, when we move around in the devotee community and we have this vision of trying to see things on an external level, that we might disrespect somebody who has this bhakti. And this is a problem, because if we disrespect somebody who has bhakti, Krishna is not happy. Because whoever has bhakti, Krishna is very much inclined to this person. So if this person is not treated properly, then it becomes a stumbling block on the path of that person. So it's a relevant topic which comes out in this verse, and I want to just speak a little bit about these three aspects which Srila Prabhupada mentions. There is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I can quickly quote that. Sorry, 1 second. Maybe Krishna Vadanti Tattva Vidas. You can quote the whole verse. Who has heard knows this verse? Who has heard this verse? It's one of the most important verses in the Srimad basically describes that the absolute truth can be realized in 3 different aspects. Who knows these 3 aspects? Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Brahman is the impersonal aspect of God, it's the effulgence. Paramatma is the localized, it means God in the heart of every living entity. And Bhagavan means actually the absolute truth as a person. So we believe that God, or the absolute, is a person. Not a person like we are, but a person in the sense he's also individual consciousness. But he's not material, but he's spiritual. And Srila Prabhupada explains that like the sun is a planet, but it has 3 different aspects. We can see the sunlight. I don't see the sun, but I can see the sunlight just right here. And then if the clouds move away and I go out, I can see actually the sun disk. And if I actually go on the sun planet, of course that's difficult for us to accept, we can see the sun god, a person who is representing the sun. In this way he tries to explain how the absolute truth also has different phases of realization. Another example he gave is when you are in a distant, like yesterday I was outside on a walk and the sky was kind of clear so you could see the mountains. So from far away you can see the shape of the mountain. But then if you move closer, you can actually see there's some variety. And if you go on the mountain, you can see, oh, there is a tree, so different phases of realization. And what does it mean? The closer you come, the more you can understand. And in the Vedic culture, in the spiritual culture, there is different people who focus on these different aspects. So some they try to realize the Brahman, some they try to realize the Paramatma, and some they try to realize the Bhagavan aspect. Now here it speaks about that whatever you do, be it in material or spiritual life, if there is no bhakti, then it's useless. And the question is, to which of these 3 aspects bhakti is connected to? With Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So bhakti is connected to which of the 3 aspects? Every? Okay. Why?
Because they're 3 interconnected.
They're interconnected.
So it's one.
It's one, okay.
So
It's one.
Sun disk, sunlight, we can't disconnect.
Yes, it's
So
one.
it means like Krishna God, everywhere, something like this.
Yeah, right. Actually everything is Krishna.
So
Even everything here is Krishna. Everything here is is Brahman, in a way. Just perverted Brahman. So you're saying bhakti is connected to all 3 of them, right? But to which one is it connected primarily? Bhagavan, no? What is bhakti? Devotional service, yes. So, in a way you're right, but in a way also not completely, because here I'm quoting now a verse, Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchate. So that's the definition of bhakti. And it says bhakti, or devotional service, means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. This definition of bhakti means that bhakti means I'm not trying to do something for my happiness, but I'm trying to do something for Krishna's happiness. And happiness means Krishna has senses, so I want to please his senses. And now comes the problem with the Brahman, for example. How can you please the senses of the Brahman? Right? It doesn't work because the Brahman, according to definition, is formless. It doesn't have any senses. So bhakti directly cannot be applied to Brahman. It can only be applied to the Supreme Lord. But it says here that the impersonalists, that's those who actually try to achieve Brahman, they can achieve Brahman by adding some bhakti to it. So if they because the process of the impersonalists is to have gyan, they try to understand knowledge, and by knowledge they discriminate between what is matter and what is spirit. And then they come to the realization that, okay, this is Brahman, and they can renounce everything and then get situated in Brahman. But it's said here, only by bhakti, by some kind of bhakti, they can achieve that goal. So now the question, how does that work? Do you have any ideas or example of some persons who have achieved that Brahman?
Buddha,
Buddha?
maybe.
I don't know. Buddha is Brahman.
Well, yeah, okay.
He's
Fair
the
enough.
Supreme Lord. Well, there's some stories how in the Krishna book we read, for example, how Putana, actually Putana is another example, but let's say Shishupal, he achieved Brahman. You know, he was offending Krishna, and Krishna tolerated, and then he killed him. And then when he was killed, he merged into the effulgence of Krishna. And how did he achieve that? Because he was somehow connected to Krishna. He did something to some little service he did. All the times when it's always remembering him. The point is that in order to achieve the Brahman, because like you said, no, it's one. It belongs, like the sunlight can only be truly understood if you understand the sun god. And the sunlight cannot exist if there is not a person who is actually there to emit that sunlight. And in the same way, Brahman, it is coming from the Lord. It is the Lord. It's Him. It's His energy. And in order to achieve this Brahman, the person who is behind Brahman, he has to accept. He has to give the sanction, okay, I allow you to be situated in my Brahman. And if he doesn't allow, of course, we have to stay outside in the material sphere. Like we are now, we are not allowed in that sphere of spiritual reality because we don't have so much bhakti, unfortunately. Otherwise we could be situated in Brahman, we could be situated on the Paramatma level or in the Bhagavan level. yeah, in this way we can understand that bhakti is, we have to focus on bhakti, we have to be careful that we are cultivating bhakti and not something else, not renunciation, not learning which is not connected to bhakti, but we have to do these things always in connection to bhakti. And this is a very simple understanding, because we are small living entities and we are connected to the Supreme. So we have to please the Supreme, we have to please God by devotional service. And that's all. We just have to understand that He exists and that we have to please Him. We are meant to please Him by our activities, and then we can dedicate ourselves to His pleasure. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Yeah, you know.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your lecture. So my question was, it's related.
Yeah, English will fit
If we always have to go to this order that we realize Brahman first and then Paramatma and then Bhagavan, or if we could like perform devotional service all the time, and then at the when we're dying, we think of Krishna and then we go like directly to Krishna, or is it like when you think you're almost dying but you didn't have any realizations yet, then it's what happens?
Yeah, nice point. There's two kinds of ways how you can achieve perfection in bhakti. One is sadhana, and the other one is by receiving mercy of the Lord. There is many nice examples when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was here. He gave this, it's called Kripa Siddhi, when the Lord just gives you mercy and then you become perfect. When Mahaprabhu was here, he gave these two animals. He went through the jungle, and then, because he was so merciful, he just wanted them to chant Hare Krishna and be situated in pure love of God. And so all the animals, the elephant, the tigers, the deer, they started to chant, show ecstatic symptoms of love of Godhead. And the other way is by practice, meaning you cultivate it. And now the question is, which one should we choose, or which one are we recommended to take? Which of the two?
Yeah, we should practice them.
We should practice them.
Yeah.
And the example is given, like, usually if you want to get a PhD, then you have to study them. You have to do, first of all, you have to go to school, you have to get your degrees, and then you get the bachelor degree, and then you're allowed to do the master's, and when you have the master's you can do the PhD. But in some rare cases, they give the PhD to someone who didn't go through that whole thing. Actually, the doctor, the doctor. No, they give it like somebody does some very special achievement, then they give it to someone. Some universities. And it's said that if you actually want a PhD, then it's very foolish to just sit down and wait until some university gives an honorary PhD. You know, maybe you do something and you say, yeah, I just hope that one day they will give me the PhD. If you actually want the PhD, then the safe way to do is you enroll yourself in the university and you go through the process. because then you can be assured that you get a PhD, otherwise you are kind of uncertain. So that's why we are supposed to practice sadhana bhakti. And sadhana bhakti actually leads us to the platform of bhakti. Sadhana bhakti leads us to bhakti, because sadhana bhakti is practiced by those who are not yet situated on the spiritual platform. And then by doing sadhana bhakti we come to the spiritual platform, and once we are on the spiritual platform we can practice bhakti and then cultivate love. And this is in the Bhagavad Gita, the famous verse, Brahmabhuta prasannatma nasochati nakamshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. You have to come to Brahman and then you can practice bhakti. And why? If I'm not on the Brahma platform, I will be in duality. And duality means I'm not seeing Krishna behind everything. So we know that everything is Brahman, so everything is connected to Krishna. So in order to become a devotee of Krishna, one has to understand this. For example, when somebody, let's say somebody is treating me in a bad way, I don't know, being abusive. Brahmabhuta means you understand that Krishna is behind all of this and you don't see any problem. On the other hand, if something very good happens to you, let's say you're being praised in front of hundreds of people and glorified and everybody's worshipping you, the one who's on the Brahma platform, he will also understand that actually they are not praising me, they are praising whoever the Supreme in my heart. You don't see yourself. Or you see that Krishna is just arranging this actually by his special mercy, and it doesn't have anything to do with me. So that means, Brahma, that you can walk in this world and you see everything connected to Krishna, and then you can start to perform bhakti. And before that you will always have duality. You always see, oh, she's not nice and he's my friend, I like this place, I don't like this place, and you're always in this duality, and you cannot truly please the Lord by being in this mindset. It's more difficult. It's difficult because you will always say, in one way you say yes to Krishna, and then again you say no. Then you say yes, then you say no. But actually you're not saying yes to Krishna. You're just saying yes to something separated from him, which is giving you pleasure. And on the other hand, you're saying no to something which is giving you distress. So, to answer your question, without being in Brahman consciousness, you cannot go to the spiritual world. Because in the spiritual world, we were just reading from one book about Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, every living entity always is Krishna conscious, no matter in what situation and with what surrounding. So whenever they see somebody, whenever they see something, whenever something happens, they always see Krishna connected to this. So we know in the Krishna book, when the demons come, they always immediately think of Krishna and somehow connected with him. And in this way you can live in such an atmosphere by being Brahmabhuta, by being equipoised or seeing everything connected to him. now the question how you achieve that platform, that's again either through sadhana or through kripa. If the animals, usually they're not on the Brahmagupta platform. But Mahaprabhu, he just, not only did he raise them to Brahmagupta, but to love of God. So he can do that if he wants. But our goal should be to come to the Brahmagupta platform to practice, and we know in order to come to the platform we have to get rid of all our anarthas. We have to give up lust, we have to give up envy, we have to give up greed, we have to give up anger, we have to give up pride, we have to give up illusion, we have to give up all these things. And this we have to do consciously, if you want to be sure that you can go back home.
Thank you very much. It is just a small question, as a second question, that you quoted this verse that bhakti means that we have to engage all our senses for Krishna. And do you know which verse it is?
Yes, this is a verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and it is also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and there you can find it, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 170.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. So, could you explain the kripa and the way of kripa and what a little bit more around what it looks like?
Kripa?
Yes.
There's three stages how one can be perfect. One is Nitya Siddha, the person who is always perfect. And two of them, they become perfect. And again, one is by practice and one by mercy. And we understand, of course, that even the sadhana is in a way mercy, because Krishna has to then ultimately give the goal of sadhana. He has to accept. But kripa siddhi means pure, almost purely you just get the mercy. And this example of the animals is very nice, because the animals in the Charakan forest, they didn't do any sadhana. Their sadhana was eating, sleeping, mating and defending. But still they got the goal. So that means no sadhana, but what was it? Mercy. Just because the Lord, He can do everything. He's all powerful. That means He can also make you a pure devotee if He likes. And sometimes He does it. He does it because He can do what He wants, and sometimes He likes to do something very extraordinary. He's very merciful. And that's Kripa Siddhi.
So it has actually nothing to do with one's effort, actually, absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
But this is not recommended that we wait for this. We should do our effort and...
Yeah, I was wondering if there is some effort involved or not at all. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, when you go into the details, then I couldn't really answer this question. Maybe you know something. We also know there is Agyata Sukriti. Agyata means you unknowingly do some bhakti. And that's mostly by those who want to achieve Brahman and Paramatma. They unknowingly do bhakti. Like, they will, the Brahmavadis, because they are Nashochati, Nakangshati, they will also not be averse to Jagannath. So they will appreciate Jagannath. And And of course, when they come to the Brahman, actually, when you come to Brahman, then Brahman, because it's the effulgence of the Lord, and by direct perception, you already get some realization, spiritual realization. And that spiritual realization already puts you in a very humble position where you're going to be in awe and reverence. Have you heard how they glorify the Brahman? The Brahman, the Brahmavadis, they can glorify Brahman in so many ways.
Not sure what you're referring to.
Well, there is some, in the Upanishads especially, they speak about Brahman, and they basically glorify Brahman in a way. They say, it's the supreme light, where there is no suffering. And so they worship the Brahman, and because the Brahman is the effulgence of the Lord, and it's in a way Agyata Sukriti. Like, let's say you paint a painting, and I don't know you, but I go and glorify the painting, you will already feel proud also. You will feel appreciated by that person because he's praising my painting. So, in the same way, if somebody glorifies the Brahman, Krishna is also happy because it's his effulgence. And that's what I wanted to say mostly by doing some Agyata Sukriti, some unknown bhakti, you actually come in touch with Krishna. And then he can give you also mercy.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I have not much experience with Kripa Siddhi because it's very seldom. You want to say something, Christian? Okay, then we can end here. Thank you for your attention. I wish you a nice day. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande. Kripa Siddhi Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Tomorrow we have a Kandali Prabhu coming, so please all come.
He's giving lecture.
Scientific accept this.